Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. Honestly, I'm not even going to do an introduction if we're being completely honest, because you should notice it's Jaclyn. I mean, she's been on the podcast 2 or 3 times. At this point I lost track. I don't know how many times she's been on, but she's a well-known guest, and we really appreciate having her on, especially after she just got second at the Olympia. She was, 6 or 7 or 8 points away from Missy, and yeah, it was like I told her before. It was so great hearing that when I rewatched reruns of the Olympia and saw, that you got second. I was so excited. But yeah, she's on here to just share what she's been up to. It's been 2 years, I think, since we last had her on. So yeah, but most importantly, Jaclyn, thank you so much for coming back on.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be back.
I appreciate that. Well, just to get things started, what have you been up to these last 2 years? Honestly, I had you on before the 2022 Olympia as well. So that was, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the same training, working, competing. Let's see, since I was on, I placed second at Olympia 2022. I placed second at Arnold's 2023 and 2024. Third at Olympia 2023. I won the I won the Arnold UK this past year, and then I just placed second at Olympia this year. So
I'm only making that face just because to hear second, so it's like I appreciate guests like you more than anyone else because the perseverance and just the keep moving forward attitude. Because I'm not gonna be honest, my teams when I was growing up were almost always like that. We would always be runners up, and every single year, no matter what, we'd be runners up at state, we'd be runners up at tournaments. So yeah,
yeah, it's tough. It's tough coming so close year after year. It's an accomplishment to be second, but it's tough when you're right there.
Hey, like I told her before, we're not starting this podcast off all doom and gloom. Her time will come. So yeah, it's bound to happen because just seeing the stage shots, and like you said, this was the closest that you got. So I mean, you're just only getting, better and better. But I mean, how do you deal with that mentally? Because just coming in second so many times and just how are you able to then push through and be like, you know what, we're gonna keep applying and we're gonna keep driving and we're gonna make changes.
I think in the beginning it was just more about my goal was the title, and I just, second was great and I was proud to be there. I think as it became kind of a pattern, it became a little more frustrating. So there is a little bit of that, I guess, sense of like defeat and, didn't quite make that goal. But then I kind of sit back, revamp everything, talk with my family, and they kind of, help me get back into a better brain space, and just kind of keep pushing forward and really think about the fact that getting those titles is one of my goals. I don't foresee myself competing for much longer, so I'm going to give it a go, for as long as my heart is in it and my body can withstand it. So I think that kind of keeps me going a little bit quicker than maybe some others. If I thought I had a longer game ahead of me, I think I'd take a year off and rest and then get back at it. But I don't feel that way. So I feel like it's just take that loss, so to speak, digest it, and move on and kind of pummel through it.
What feedback are the judges giving you?
In past years, I've gotten feedback. In the past couple years, I really haven't. As far as routines go, it's so subjective, and I have improved on everything that they've asked me in the past, so I haven't really gotten feedback. As far as the physique goes, this past competition, the two women that were above me were bigger and a little bit tighter in the glutes than me. So it's clear to me what they went with, so I don't really feel like I need to ask them. Um, so if it wasn't clear, then I'd kind of maybe, ask, but it was clear to myself and my coach. So I don't really feel like I need to question that. And then the routine for our division is just, I mean, it's 9 judges' opinions. So it's tough to get feedback in that world, I think. And I have for so many years that I think I personally think at this Olympia, I performed my routine flawlessly. I didn't make one mistake. I left it all out on the stage. So for me, feedback, I'm not sure it would really resonate. I don't know what they would say that would make me say, "Oh yeah, I see what you're talking about." Um,
Do you ever take the time though and just realize that like, hey, I've multiple times I've been voted the second best fitness competitor on the planet. Like that still is just absolutely incredible when you think about all the people that compete.
Thank you very much. I do force myself to do that because I think as a competitive person, as an athlete that keeps striving for more and more and more, it's you can get lost in the striving for first, striving for, I don't like to use the word perfection because I don't really believe in that, but striving for the top. So I do sit back, and in this room that I'm in right here, I have all my awards and pictures from past competitions. So I do try to sit back and reminisce about that, and acknowledge what I've done.
Well, and you won the Arnold UK. What was that moment like when they announced your name and you realized, hey, this is something
That
new?
was Yeah, that was very surreal. And that was coming off of my second place at Arnold, Ohio, where I felt like again there, I felt like I had it in that moment. So I felt very defeated, and I only had 5 days home between Ohio and UK, and I revamped an entire new routine to do at UK because I was still going against Ariel, who had won Ohio. So I just gave it my all again at UK, and I was standing there at awards thinking, again, it's kind of the same the past numerous competitions I've done. I gave everything I could give, and at that point, you just have to throw your hands up and say you have to be proud. And when they called my name, I was like, it was incredible, very surreal. Um, I haven't placed first in a competition since Miami Muscle Beach in 2019, my second year as a pro. So it was a really special moment.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, that's one of those moments too where you just look at it and go, God, all this hard work and dedication, all the struggles that I've dealt with, they finally paid off. But how has this last Olympia is the experience of it been different from other Olympias past, or was it kind of on par with the same? Because I'd like to think that every year it might be a little bit different of an experience.
I feel like every year is different, every competition is different, every prep is different. I felt that this year was significantly different, being my seventh Olympia, and the fact that a lot of the women who have been above me in years, as far as like more competitions than me, weren't there. So I was kind of the vet, which was a very weird spot for me. I still feel like a newbie. I don't feel like there are people who've been in the industry 20 years, so 7 years is like not that long when I think about it as far as like my dance career. I danced my entire life from when I was 2 till I was 30. So that to me is a long time to be in an industry. 7, 8 years is not, but I was the vet at this Olympia. So the other women were looking to me to like, what times are we supposed to be here? Who do we talk to about X, Y, and Z? So it was definitely different.
That's when you didn't like just tell them like, oh, be here at this time, lie to them, and just get them all screwed up with their
Nah, no,
pull an Arnold mind
that's
trick on them.
that's not my DNA.
No, it's not mine as well, but that's I've heard stories about, especially like with Arnold doing that, where I'm just like, yeah, that's classic Arnold. So no, but
Yeah.
and just with all the things that have gone on, did you mix up anything else with either like your training or your? I mean, obviously your routine you mix up a little bit well, but have you mixed up training at all recently?
Um, no, we were able to really push my leg workouts in the past year. I have a lot of low back, left leg injuries that have just gotten worse over the years. And I was able to push a little bit more this year. I've gotten a lot stronger. And I think just the strength that I've gotten helped with my leg workouts, but then also my fitness skills. So that combination, I think, has really helped me over the past year or so.
I mean, just the mental mindset that you have, has it applied in other aspects as well? Because obviously, just having the mindset to just keep going year after year after year, has that impacted other areas of your life as well, where you found that mental strength has really benefited you?
I think in business in general, I work for myself. I have my own company, so I think that I just have always had a workhorse kind of mentality. But I also have a balance of mental health where I'm, not overworking, not overstressing. So I would guess, I would say like I always work on mental health, mind game, um, and just making that all strong also.
Well, I just want to mix this up a little bit now, and I want to say, what are some things that you're most proud of when it comes to bodybuilding? We're going to mix things up a little bit because I don't want this to be all
Oh,
doom and gloom. So, what are some things that you're proud of with your bodybuilding?
yeah, I love that question. I am proud that throughout the years I've stayed true to myself and what I believe in as a human, as an athlete, and just stayed true to my character, my morals, and was able to climb the ranks that way. And that, there's a lot under that umbrella, but that's one thing I'm really proud of. I'm also proud in that regard that I feel like I have changed the fitness division in a way that not many people can do as far as my routines go. I bring a very different element to routines because of my professional dance background. And I feel that I now see other women doing that, and or other women coming to me and asking to help with transitions or what they say dance moves or whatever. So it's really interesting to see that I could leave my mark on the division, and a division that's been around for so long. So I would say those are two things that I'm proud of. And I'm also proud of my physique and the work that I put in and how I was able to transform, myself with my help of my coach, of course. And I just feel like that's something people can't take away from you. So
What are some
yeah.
quote unquote dance moves that you think that you've brought into the
I
routines?
think it's more just about transitioning well, and just moving from one skill to the next is one thing that I find that I was able to show that can be done on the fitness stage. And the other thing will be performance quality. I think that a lot of past fitness athletes are very cheerleader, gymnastics heavy in their background. So their performance quality and their engagement to the audience is a little bit different than mine. And I think that that is where I kind of break away from the pack, so to speak.
I was gonna be completely honest. I remember the first time I had you on, how shocked I was that like you weren't a cheerleader or a gymnast
Yeah,
being the fitness, because that was 99% of the ones I've talked to. So I think that
yeah,
mixing
yeah.
that up, it's
I mean, I did in like sixth grade, but that's
well, that's why you see all of them just doing all these tumbling stuff, and then you're just like, okay, yeah, that's great. And
yeah. And fitness is not supposed to be about
yeah,
tumbling. So somewhere along the line, it has really gotten to that, but it's not really what the division and the routines are supposed to be.
from your first Olympia that you've done to this last one, how have you seen the division change at the Olympia level?
I would say the physiques have changed like every division. People are always up in arms about specific divisions getting bigger or getting leaner or whatever, but every division has grown. It's not like one division has gotten bigger and leaner and the rest are the same as they were in 20 years ago. So I would say that is definitely a change. And I would say just what I talked about, skill level and dynamics to routines have definitely changed. Yeah, I think the variety of routines has changed quite a bit. And as with anything in sports, skill levels have changed. Like if you watch basketball, I mean, the things that some of these guys are doing is not what they did in, the 70s. So,
Well, that's the '70s. The training routines were probably were not the best. I remember because
right,
well, I had
right.
a neighbor that played for the Vikings in the '70s, and just eating hamburgers and going on runs was his his stuff, his train, and then lifting weights, obviously. But like it wasn't. So it's fascinating to see how after that changes, just the quality of the competitions changed. But one thing that you just made a video about today, and everyone go and follow her YouTube. I'll have a link down below as well. Is
Thank you.
your
Thank you.
HRT journey? When did you become aware with it, and when did you first get started with HRT?
Yeah, so super interesting, I feel. I have always been a proponent for blood work. My dad's a doctor, so I come from a medical family. I've had high cholesterol since I was 8 years old. It's familial. I've never been overweight. I've never been, anything like that. So I've always gotten blood work, and my hormone levels were always like on the lower side as far as like my thyroid goes. But my doctors always said I was normal. And I was within range, but I was all the way down here. So I started to like add up things, and I was like, I just want to find a doctor that works with athletes. So I spoke with a doctor, and he helped me navigate my blood work a little bit. And he's like, you're on the cusp. And then I started thinking about a couple of other things. I was suffering from severe irritability. I have OCD anxiety again since I was a kid. Been on medication since I was a kid, no issues. In fact, I think that if anything, it helps me with bodybuilding. I think that it's been a positive in my life. And prepping for competitions, low calories, all that stress can make you irritable. My irritability didn't die down in my improvement season when I was eating more and just like on vacation or anything. And I started seeing a therapist again, and we started, talking about more anti-anxiety meds, mood stabilizers, and things like that. And I was like, okay, let's do it. I'm right now. I need something to help me out. Long story short, I ended up then just thinking, okay, I just turned 40 in February. Maybe it's time for me to just get like a baseline of my hormones prior to then going through menopause and everything like that. And my mom's always been an advocate for HRT. Always talked to us about hormone optimization. So I found a doctor and we checked my levels again, and come to find out my thyroid T3 and T4 were super, super bottomed out. My estrogen, progesterone was all fine, but my testosterone was sub 3, which is undetectable. Which,
So wait a
you know,
minute, you were an Olympia competitor that had zero testosterone, noticeable testosterone in their body.
correct. Um, so it's not to say that my body isn't making it, but it's making so little of it, which, between that and the thyroid, was most likely causing a lot of my irritability. I also had a lot of water retention. I would gain body fat really quickly. I always stayed on the leaner side for bodybuilders, but not like what I wanted to look like, with eating pretty low calories. So I realized that all of these things kind of added up. And when I saw this doctor, it was kind of like a light bulb moment for me. And I was like, oh, geez, I didn't know I was this bad off. I was just coming in to get like a baseline for when I do, start to, drop in hormones. So she immediately, told me what her opinion was. I saw two other doctors for their opinions. And I started, some thyroid medication. And then I started testosterone as well. Very, very low dose, bioidentical testosterone administered from her. And I feel 100 times better. Yeah,
Is this one of those things where you're kind of mad at yourself that you didn't do it sooner?
definitely. I wouldn't say I'm trying not to be so hard on myself, because why would I think that I was there? I'm healthy. I just turned 40. I still get my period monthly. So there weren't any real signs, and I wasn't putting things together. So yeah, I think it's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate that most women my age or a little bit younger, a little bit older, don't know that those symptoms could be from hormone imbalance. So yeah, it's frustrating.
I only
Definitely.
asked that because there's over 10 dozen things in my life where I was like, God, I'm an idiot for just learning this now. I wish I'd known this 10 years ago.
Yeah, I do. I do wish I'd known earlier, and I feel like I now have a platform that I have to, talk. I don't have to, but I feel I want to spread the word and tell people, there are far too many women in their mid 30s, 40s that are on so many anti anxiety medications, or, are just, putting on body fat unnecessarily. If you're doing all the correct things, eating healthy, sleeping, stress management, then, and you're putting on body fat unnecessarily, then there's something's off.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so with HRT, is it replacing the hormones and putting them to optimum levels, or is it like giving you even better levels? Because some people, I think in the general public, they mistake that and they're like, "Oh, you're on HRT just because you want to get like super jacked and stuff." But
Yeah.
people don't
So
realize for a lot of times it's just to
Yeah,
give
so
yourself a
my
balance.
my HRT is not for bodybuilding purposes. That's kind of how I like to say it. It's for optimization. It's giving me back what I am losing and or lost. So yeah, it's very minimal amounts. It's taking me from quote unquote functionally low to optimal. And that's where I want to be. That's where I feel better. It also is going to prevent me from osteoporosis, from heart disease, dementia, you name it. It's going to help prevent those.
I love to bring that up because yeah, the general public, the moment they hear HRT, they're like, "Oh, that's just like steroids and stuff like." It's like, well, no, they're doing it to balance their levels. They're not doing it to. Oh, I think some people might be, but the majority of them are.
Listen, I mean, yeah, it's like saying people don't take Adderall for ADD. Some people take it for ADD and some people abuse it. So, yeah, I mean, it's also unfortunate that people have such a stigma around, any kind of hormone replacement therapy. But I do feel like there's more education out there. There's more people jumping on board and realizing that it is real and, necessary and can prevent so many diseases. So,
So like specific symptoms, how are you feeling better? Is it just you just feel more fresh? You just feel how has it improved you like on a symptom basis?
my irritability has decreased tremendously, and that's even including show week. I mean, I'm usually I always when I was joking with my dad, who I said was a doctor, he's like, you need before I went on HRT, and he's like, you need to just bring yourself down to like a 4 or 5, like, and I was like, I'm at an 8 all the time, and like everything sets me off. So I no longer feel that way. I still am a New Yorker and I don't have much patience, but like not everything's setting me off where I can't pull myself back. I was having severe night sweats that I thought were just around my cycle, and that was just my body and whatever. I'm no longer having that. Now that I'm coming off of my competition and I'm having like a little bit of alcohol or fried food or dairy, I'm not swelling up as much as I used to, which is definitely interesting. So yeah.
I just want you to picture me, a humble upper Midwestern guy, when the 2 times I've been to New York City and deal with people that have New York attitudes, and just think about what I think about those. It's just a completely different world where it's just I learned very fast that you got to be quick, you got to be yeah. It's just anyone else.
Yeah.
You should go and experience it because it's a different mindset. So when she's talking about having the New York attitude, I was like that gave me flashbacks right there. I was like, oh my god, just ordering stuff in line and not being too quick, just being passed
Yeah.
by and stuff. But yeah, it's a whole thing that
Yeah.
I.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a whole thing, but
It's a different world, but I
yeah.
love it.
Oh, it's great. I mean, I love New York City. I would never live there, and New York in general. I really enjoyed too. That's the funniest thing when you live in a place like New York where everyone just thinks about the city, but then they don't realize like that's just like one millionth the
One
size of
tiny part.
yeah. It's
Yep.
just one little tiny part. So, yep, there is that. So, just with this competition prep that you've done, and how did your prep go this last year as opposed to other preps? Do you think?
Really smooth. I would say it went really smooth. It slowed off and stalled a little bit, and we had to catch up a bit. Um, but I feel like I was kind of smooth sailing for most of it.
Yeah, and that's honestly, a good problem to have. And going into the Olympia was how are you feeling? How was your mood? Obviously, being less irritable, you weren't probably as irritable. But how different was that to then be able to step on that stage and not have a lot of the problems that you've had in the past?
Yeah, I have never felt better stepping on stage. I never felt more confident. I felt like, in all honesty, the title was mine. It was my time. I felt it in my gut that it was my moment to take the title this year. It wasn't, but what's meant to be will be, they say.
Yeah. One thing that I've noticed about the Olympia, and I've noticed some things, is that they do like these Olympia trading cards now. Have you gotten your
Yeah.
hands on any of them yet?
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah, I have some of them of me. Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, because I was just gonna reach out to them and be like, "Hey, dude, I'd love to promote," because I think it's a cool idea. I think it's something like new that they've done, and I just see all those videos of that, so I was like wondering if they gave them to the Olympians and stuff. But
Yeah, they give us a couple at the when we check in for the athlete meeting.
was it a flattering photo?
So it's kind of cool. They use our photos from each competition. Like they have one that says pro debut, one that says Olympia 2022, and it has your placing on it and the scorecard. So it is definitely a cool idea.
What is the experience like to work in the booths and meeting the fans? Because I mean, at the Olympia, that's one of the few opportunities where like you can actually do that and actually meet the people that appreciate your
Yeah,
work.
it's very cool. It's an interesting place to be, to see how far your reach can get and how much you can inspire people or people that come up to you that you've never met, never seen. Social media is a weird place, but it's also a great place. And to see that I've been able to reach people that I've never met before and inspire them is pretty cool.
How many times do you have to deal with people just being shocked at your height when they meet you in person?
all the time. Everyone thinks I'm taller than I am. Everyone thinks I'm bigger than I am. I've had people send me like extra large clothes, and I'm like, do you realize I'm 5'1.5"?
You have to
Like,
try them on though, just for laughs, and just see what
yeah, yeah. I
it.
mean, I do tend to like sweatshirts
Yeah.
big or things, so I don't mind it. But it's funny because they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I'm a small human. But bodybuilding's deceiving. I would say everyone on stage is smaller than you think.
Oh yeah. Like I've
Yeah.
been to the few shows that I've been at. I mean, there are some where you're just like, I can't believe that's a human being. But then there's also, but again, like I said, being 6'3", where I tower over almost everyone that's
Right.
ever competed, you're
Right.
just like, okay, this is fascinating. But just going backstage and doing all the stuff that they do for competitions. What is your favorite part of the backstage part of the show?
Oh, I don't know. That's hard.
Or are you just so focused on yourself that like you really don't? You're just all
Yeah,
in
I'm
on the
fairly
zone.
focused.
Yeah.
I would say I'm very focused till I'm done with my routine. Um, but there is an energy or a buzz backstage that you can feel. So I can feel that. I do like that.
And I ask this to you every single year though, but what did you enjoy to eat after the show?
Oh yeah, so it's pretty much the same. I'm very fortunate that most of my family comes to my events. My parents, I have two sisters that were there, so we usually order like we go to like just a bar and order like all the appetizers. So I had nachos, chicken fingers, French fries, a piece of pizza. I just like to pick at everything. I had some wine, some ice cream. So yeah, it was good.
Have you learned over the years to not overdo it? Because all the times that I hear people where they just get so sick because they literally just can't stop eating.
No, no, I don't do that. I know my limit. It's kind of like I've got like a yellow light and I kind of stop there before it's too full.
Yeah, I don't think I would have that because even for Thanksgiving alone, I passed that limit. So I don't. I honestly don't think if I did a bodybuilding show, I would. But after the UK show, did you enjoy British food? Or please tell me you didn't, because that's some of the worst food imaginable.
No, I did not.
Oh,
I
good.
honestly, the hotel had terrible food, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to remember it was not good.
Like I look at some of the
I had a
foods that they
lot of
have, and
wine.
I'm like, how do you people even eat that? Honestly, like I
I
look at
don't
some
know.
of the
I had
stuff.
wine and my mom had somehow gotten some ice cream and some cookies or something that they put in a freezer somewhere and brought out. But no, that food's not good.
That's why I will never tolerate whenever I have a guest from the UK on and they make fun of American food. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, have you seen your guys' food? And I'll give them a little crap for that, but it's just because, yeah, it is. I look at that, especially when they have like they do these celebrity shows where like they have them eat their foods, and you're just like,
Yeah.
more power to you, I guess. But yeah, that's definitely the thing. But what are your current plans right now? What do you have going for the rest of the year? Obviously, you're gonna do it again next year. But is there any other specific plans that you've been thinking of?
Yeah, so I decided I'm gonna give Arnold one more go. So I'll do Arnold Classic in March. So the next couple weeks are kind of like a transition period for me. Giving myself a little bit of downtime as far as the gym goes, lifting 4 times a week, doing some walking for cardio. And then we'll ramp it back up and I'll do Arnold in March and Olympia. I don't think they announced a date yet, but to check that out. There is also Masters Olympia in Tokyo, which I'd love to do, but we have to figure out the logistics of that and timing and all that kind of stuff. So right now it's Arnold's in March and then Olympia in the fall, whenever they put it.
That would be fun going to Japan. I wish they had more like exotic locations for
Yeah,
some of these
I
competitions.
came in the league right when they started nixing everything. Like there used to be Arnold South America, Arnold Australia, or South Africa, I think. There was a Hawaii Pro. There was a lot more that I think kind of have fizzled out over the years.
Okay, Hawaii should be the Olympia, honestly, if we're being completely honest. That would be the greatest. Are you kidding me? Think about all the beach pics that people would get too. Yeah, you can really do that in Vegas.
Yeah, yeah. Vegas is not my favorite, but I get why they do it
Do
there.
you ever at least gamble when you're there?
No, I'm not a gambler.
Well, you bodybuild, that's gambling.
Well,
You're gambling on yourself.
who you telling? Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. You're gambling on yourself to
yeah,
no,
you're
but that's
right.
no, I yeah, and it's I have never been to Vegas myself. It would be one of those like bucket list things where I just go there for a couple days and just.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone should go everywhere once,
I'm a
but
huge I'm a huge Elvis fan too, so that would be probably one of the
that's a
reasons
good.
why I'd go
Yeah,
too.
it's not my favorite for competing. It's just
Yeah.
this year was much calmer because we were all in one. Everything was pretty much in one venue, so that was nice.
Oh, and just getting yourself ready for this next year. Are you planning on changing anything up with like training, coaches, anything else?
I'm still working out the details with all of
Okay.
that. I am, like I said, in a little transition period, so I'm kind of taking this. I think what it's Wednesday, Friday's 2 weeks since Olympia, so I'm taking this time to really get all my ducks in a row and figure it all out. But there may be some changes for the future.
Well, we're doing this before Halloween. What kind of candy are you going to be handing out this year?
Oh well, I live in an apartment building, and we don't really get trick or treaters in New York. But if I was to hand out candy, it would be either Reese's or the mini Take Fives.
I've never heard of Take Fives,
Oh,
but the Reese's all endorse 100%. Those
Take
are
Five is, I think, the same company as Reese's, which I don't know. Is that Hershey's?
I'll
I'm not sure.
I'll have to look it up.
It's a peanut butter pretzel caramel with chocolate on top, and I think there might be like some kind of nougat in the middle. Check them out; you'll like them.
I will have to do that. I'm a Milky Way guy myself. That's my.
Oh, Milky Way is boring.
Oh, come on! It's not like a Three Musketeer, which is just half of a Milky Way.
That's
Basically.
no, you're right. Okay, that's what I was thinking of. No, Three Musketeers terrible.
Yeah, Milky Way. At least they
That
got the
should be
caramel on top.
retired.
Yeah, and I like Twix too. Twix is also
Twix,
something more.
Twix are great.
You gotta do it. Sour Patch Kids though are probably one of
Love
my
a Sour
go-to.
Patch Kid.
I had.
Although, you know what's funny is my childhood, I loved sour candy. And somewhere in my adult life, I changed to more of a chocolate. I always liked chocolate also, but I don't gravitate towards the sour stuff anymore. But I
Please,
do like it.
please tell me it's not dark chocolate.
No, no.
Okay. Well, no, because my mom really enjoys that, and I have other friends that enjoy
I
that.
mean,
And I'm
I
just
like dark chocolate, but I like a Hershey's bar.
I have never enjoyed dark chocolate in my life. On a milk
Nothing
chocolate,
fancy. I like all like the non-fancy, whatever you can get at 7-Eleven.
I might have to send you the company that they order from, but I have relatives in Norway, and they come and visit like every other year, and they bring Norwegian chocolate with us.
Oh, I bet that's good.
Oh my god!
I will say the UK has all the Cadbury chocolate, which is fantastic.
Yes, they definitely do.
And the Milka.
Yeah, they definitely do have. Their candy options might be a little bit better. I'll give them that, especially like in going to Japan too. Good God, that candy options over there, that's just absolutely ridiculous. But when it comes to just realizing how much impact you have had, like I said, you have a lot of followers. You meet people at the Olympia. What does that make you feel like? And does that how are you able to appreciate that at least? Because I can imagine that would be like if I ever met people that followed me, and I think it would be very meaningful to me.
It certainly is. Yeah, it is very meaningful. I think I've always tried to present myself in a way that a younger me would look up to and or want to be. So when I meet younger girls or women and they feel like they can relate to me or I've helped them inspire them in some way, it's very touching. I had someone come up to me recently that said I had inspired him on his weight loss journey. He's lost like 80 pounds. It's just like I said before, you never know who you're touching as far as like your reach goes with, especially with social media, YouTube, all this stuff. So it's a great feeling. Yeah, it's hard to explain, I guess.
When you mention anxiety as well, and that's something that I struggle with, and so many people struggle with. How do you maintain it, or not maintain it, but how do you regulate it and not make it so much? Because I'm taking any advice from anyone right now.
Yeah, so like I said, I was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder at 8 years old.
Me as well, by the way.
Yeah, so I've been in therapy, seen a psychiatrist for years. I've always worked on myself, and I think the most important thing is knowing your triggers. So, like, I know that there are certain situations that make me super anxious. So, knowing ahead of time that I'm going to be anxious then helps me calm down from the anxiety because I have certain tools that I've learned over the years that help me.
If you don't want to get too personal, but what are the certain situations?
Yeah, you know what? And it's funny because when I explain them, when I'm starting to talk about it, they seem so silly. But they make me anxious, and that's just, something. It can be simple thing as like not knowing where a bathroom is in an event space. And the feeling of having to pee makes me super anxious, and then I'm anxious because I don't know where a bathroom is. So that's one thing. Really close talkers make me super anxious. Like people who get to in my personal space, it just makes me feel very uncomfortable. People who talk at me or down to me is very hard for me.
I
Noises
mean, you're
are
5
another
feet
thing.
tall. Everyone's gonna be talking down to you, for being completely honest.
Fair, fair. Very repetitive noises, like someone's tapping on something or sucking their teeth, things like that. They really, really irritate me. And then they kind of get in my ear where I can't get it out. Um, Things that have helped me, like I get very anxious for social settings. I feel like when I walk in a room, kind of people are at me, and then I get that same feeling. So I know when I get somewhere, I go immediately to the bathroom. I pee, I wash my hands, and that moment kind of helps me calm down and center myself so that I can walk back out. So it's just something that I do always when I walk into a space. I do have like the AirPods that are noise canceling for the noise issues. I take medication. I've been on medication for my whole life. And then I, work with tools and things that I've learned from therapy over the years.
I appreciate so much that you mentioned the bathroom thing, because that was my biggest thing, especially in baseball. If I was about to go out and pitch, I would always have to go to the bathroom, even if I didn't have to. My body would
Yeah,
like force myself to like feel like I have to, and then I would always have to, and then it would always be like, yeah, where's the nearest restroom? If the place doesn't have a restroom, or if it was like if I was on a bus, like going to it, and obviously the buses don't have bathrooms, then you're just like, what's gonna happen if I have that? So that was my biggest thing, and then I still have it occasionally, but for me, it's like if I'm driving, then for some reason I'm completely fine, because then like I feel like I have it in control. So like if I
you're in
ever have it,
control. Well, a lot of anxiety, especially with people who are OCD, comes from control,
yeah,
right? It's it's lack of control, and the lack of control makes you anxious. So,
yeah,
um,
I in high school I was on a plane with my baseball team, and I was that was I was just drenched in sweat, and I was like, God, you guys, this is gonna be interesting, but it wasn't. I didn't like make a scene or anything like that. But yeah, I've been working on it. For anyone out there, I always say like try to confront your fears in like a safe way, because once you realize that like, oh, it's just a lot of it is in your head, and a lot of it's your imagination playing tricks. So that's what I would say when I finally first confronted it, and I finally just started saying to myself like, so what if it happens? So what if I have to go to the bathroom and there's no one there? It's like, I'm not gonna die, I'm not gonna
right. What's the
it's
worst
gonna be
that can
embarrassing as
happen?
hell if it happens, but hey, it's not
Right. I think like you kind of have to think to yourself like, what's the worst that can happen?
which I mean,
Yeah.
for you on the Olympia stage, that might be a different story than for me embarrassing,
Yeah,
but
my anxiety levels there depend on the show and lots of circumstances. This year it was very, calm and ready. So,
so you announced before that you might only have a couple of years left. Is there a reason behind it? Or are you just saying like, okay, I've done so much of this, or what's sort of giving you the urge that like this might be the last few years?
I think, there's a couple things. I think I've been in the industry a good amount of time now. I've worked my butt off. I've devoted a lot of time of my life to this industry. I've accomplished a lot. My body, I have a lot of injuries. I am 40. I don't think that's old by any means, but it is on the upper side of the fitness division. I think I am one of the oldest now, and not comparing myself to others, but your body feels it. I danced my whole life, so I do have a lot of, extensive injuries, and I need my body for another 40 years. And then I don't know how much longer my heart will be in it, and I don't believe in competing if my heart's not in it. I don't think it's a sport that you can half-ass. I think you have to be, at least I don't want to do it that way. I think you have to be fully in, fully committed. And yeah, so I think, I wasn't sure after Olympia what I was going to do. I decided, to collect my thoughts, let the dust settle, and give it another go. I don't feel like I'm ready to hang up my shoes yet. I feel like I really can win these titles and deserve to win the titles. So, giving it my all, and then we'll see.
I always like to tell the story of Jerry West, who was the famous basketball player who he lost 10 NBA finals before he finally won one. But the funniest thing was that he played the worst of his career for the one
Right.
final that he won. But he was also the only person to ever win MVP of the losing side for the side. But like, yeah, you just yeah. And honestly, like, let's be honest, it's so much more inspiring when you have someone who's just been getting so close and then finally gets it. And I honestly do think, I have my opinions about the Olympia, and you did a very good job, and I appreciate that
Thank
you
you.
have this mentality, because yeah, it's a great thing to have. And for just anyone out there who's really just dealing with, I don't know, being a runner up or coming in second, do you have any advice for them on how to get their boots back on and stand back up?
I would say be disappointed, let yourself grieve, so to speak. Sit with it for a minute and then move on and focus towards your goals and why you originally started and what the original plan was and get back to work. If you still have it in you and you still believe that you can win, keep going.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, and I ask you this every single time as well, right before we wrap things up. If there was one thing that you could change about the bodybuilding or fitness industry and everyone would go along with it, will be one thing that you'd like to see changed?
Oh, that's a very hard question.
I've asked you it like 3 or 4 times already, Jack.
It's getting harder each year. I'm gonna do a twofold,
Do it.
and I'm just gonna keep it the fitness division. I would like the fitness division to be 50-50 physique and routine. Right now, our scoring is 1/3 physique and 2/3 routine. And the other part of that would be how the judges score. I would like the judges to be more knowledgeable about what we're actually doing skill level wise and choreography wise, and have more of a template to go off of for our scoring. It's subjective, but I think it could be a little bit more objective if they had more parameters.
So how much of it is like in the rules of like how you can do your performance, or is it kind of like they give you a lot of leeway, or is there a lot less? Is it a
So
lot more
for
restrictive?
our routines, it has to be max 2 minutes, and there are four required skills: a split, a push up of any kind, a high kick, and a straddle hold. And for most gymnasts, dancers, cheerleaders, those are very, very simple skills that you learn at like 5 years old. Um, Besides that, you make it your own. Those are the only requirements as far as skills go. And then it has to show cardiovascular endurance, performance quality, costume, like general appearance, fluidity from skill to skill, not bobbling, not falling down. Those sort of things are all judged. But there are no parameters as far as music besides profanity. The judges all have their opinions. Was that too slow? Was that too fast?
You're not playing "F the Police" by as your theme song.
Maybe next one. Good song. So yeah, the parameters are very loose.
What's the most impressive push-up you've ever seen, either by you or by another contestant?
I would say a handstand push up, like actually in a handstand.
Someone actually did that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty impressive. I gotta admit it. Yeah. Have you ever actually done that, not on a routine, but just by yourself?
No.
Okay, yeah.
No, that's not my skill set.
That would definitely be an eye opener for a lot
I
of people.
couldn't hold a handstand until 2019.
What?
As a dancer, I only learned, which it sounds funny to someone who's not a gymnast, I only learned to walk on my hands, which some people can't do. Some people can hold handstands. So I had never held a static handstand until the Olympia stage 2019.
That's a hell of a way to debut it, I guess, at the Olympia in
Yep. Yep.
2019. But no, yeah, and it's again every time she comes on, it's an absolute delight to talk to her, and I look forward to seeing her in the next few years, what she does. And I honestly, I'll be rooting for you. I
Thank you.
try to be impartial, but I'll be rooting for you because
Thank you so
you
much.
deserve it. So, but again, everyone, go and check her out. Leave a link to her Instagram page down below. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan.